Hi guys, it's Dylan from Bijou Diamond Jewellery in London again with another watch review, and today we're looking at the Rolex GMT-Master II in steel. First, let's take a little look at the history behind the GMT. Skipping back to the 1930s, we saw a massive boom in air travel. Aircraft could fly much further distances and carry more passengers and more cargo, and it was becoming a much more common mode of transport. And in 1929, the American airline Pan Am flew its first commercial flight. By the 1940s and 1950s, commercial flights were becoming much longer. They go even further distances now, carrying even more passengers. And that meant that pilots were then traveling over multiple time zones. So in the early 1950s, Pan Am, the airline, approached Rolex saying, can you create a watch for our pilots where they can change the time zones easily, so while they're on a flight, they can land and have the correct time showing on their watch. So in 1954, Rolex released the GMT, which was a watch that could show two different time zones simultaneously. So if we skip forward to 2007 and look what happened to the GMT between 2007 and 1954, there are a few different variations to the GMT. We had a few different bezel options like the Pepsi and Coke being some of the most famous variations. We also had precious metal versions, and we also had bimetal versions as well, with a few different bracelet types. And then in 2007, the 116710 or GMT-Master II, which we're looking at today, was released. And that came in a few different options. The steel with a couple different bezel options, a bimetal version, a full yellow gold and a white gold option as well. Let's have a look at how to set up a time zone on the watch. So we unscrew the crown and we come out to that first stop, which is just winding the watch. We then get to the hour hand, and that just changes the hour hand on its own. This is also the most efficient way to change the date. If you then traveled, let's say, from London to Athens, you'd have to add on 2 hours to that time. So this allows us to quickly change the time, because minutes, no matter where you are in the world, always remain the same. So that's why they've disconnected the minute hand from this part of the crown. If we pull out the crown one more stop, the seconds hand stops and we have full control over the other three hands. So here we can set our minutes hand, our hour hand, and more importantly, our GMT hand. So that GMT means Greenwich Mean Time. That's like the universal time. So we turn the crown now and we can see our GMT hand moving. If we set that GMT hand to, let's say, 1 o'clock there, you can see on the bezel it says that small dot between 12 and 14, which gives us 13, aka 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm going to set our hours to 10 p.m, which would give us a time for Japan, which is 9, because that's 9 hours ahead of 1 o'clock, or GMT time, 10 o'clock. And then I'm just going to change our minutes hand to 5 past, so it's out the way. So our watch is showing Japan time of 5 past 10 p.m. Our GMT hand is showing 5 past 1. Now let's say that we wanted to know what the time was in New York. We maybe had a call from Japan to New York. We know that New York is 5 hours behind GMT, so it's minus 5 hours GMT. So therefore we twist our bezel clockwise, which brings us back 5 points on the bezel, and that then gives us a time of 5 past 8 in the morning. Now let's say we want to know what the time is in LA. Maybe we have a call from Japan to LA. So we know that LA is 8 hours behind GMT, so minus 8 GMT. So we turn our bezel clockwise again. So that shows us a time in LA of 6 minutes past 5 in the morning. Now let's look at an example where the time is ahead of GMT time, so plus GMT time. So let's look at Athens. Maybe we have a call from London to Athens. We'll move our bezel anti-clockwise 2 points to give us 2 hours, and that shows a time of 7 past 3 in the afternoon. So that's how to work the bezel and the GMT hand, or the GMT function of the GMT-Master II. Let's look at some of the other features of this watch. The bracelet being the standard oyster bracelet, but this one has polished center links. The clasp is the standard oyster clasp, again with a polished sort of center part. Really good clasp, super solid. I think these are one of the best clasps for like an everyday watch. They're super rugged and they last for a long time. Bezel on this watch is bi-directional, so it moves both ways. It also only moves in 1 hour increments. Very simple looking dial. I love that green GMT hand, especially on this steel version. I like the Batman version of this one, which is the BLNR, and that also has a blue GMT hand, which looks really cool. This watch is also waterproof to 100 meters. Would I own this watch? Yes, I would. I really like the Submariner, and these are very similar to the Submariners. Very simple watches, they look smart, great everyday watches, like probably one of the best everyday watches there are. They're so rugged, and then when they get a couple dinks and scratches, you just polish them up and they look really good. They're also not massive either, but they're not mega small, so they can look good with most outfits. You can wear them with a suit on the bracelet, and then dress it down a little bit with a strap for maybe a beach look, and you can go swimming with it. And it's actually incredibly useful, that GMT function. If you travel a lot, then it's actually a really, really useful feature, especially if you're flying for business, or maybe you need to make a call to somewhere else in the world. You can quickly check what the time is there, super easy, and then you know if you can call them or not. So it's actually more useful than a few of the other watches in the Rolex range. I like the aviation history behind the watch. Overall, I think it's a pretty cool piece, and I love the yellow gold one. I think that looks amazing. But probably my favorite one is either just the simple steel version, or the white gold one. I think the white gold is such an amazing look with that sort of Pepsi looking bezel. Thanks guys for watching. Let us know in the comments what else you want to see. Be sure to check out the watch room in the description, and stay tuned for more watch reviews. We've got a new website launching for engagement rings and wedding bands coming soon, so stay tuned for that as well.